that my name is Gal and I'm Jewish, and we have had enough of Jew hatred.
Snow White just got pulled from theaters, and it's turning into Disney's biggest disaster of the decade. Did you watch this mess unfold, or are you still wondering why the internet won't stop dragging it? Subscribe to our channel right now, because we expose the truth Hollywood's too scared to say out loud. Disney quietly pulled Snow White from theaters after an avalanche of controversies turned the film into a PR disaster. What was supposed to be a magical reboot of the 1937 classic spiraled into cultural warfare, with headlines louder than the box office. Theatre owners, bound by contract, reportedly begged Disney to let them pull the plug early, as screenings echoed with emptiness. Social media buzzed with clips of ghost town auditoriums. But it wasn't just about empty seats. The backlash over Rachel Zegler's casting, her comments dissing the original film, and Gal Gadot's polarizing political associations made the movie a lightning rod.
You know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story.
In countries like Lebanon, it wasn't just unpopular. It was outright banned due to Gadot's ties to Israel. That global rejection, paired with flatlining merch sales and brutal reviews, forced Disney's hand. Quiet removals replaced red carpets. No fanfare, no spin, just a silent retreat. A film meant to empower ended up erased, faster than you can say, fairest of them all. So here's where it all begins. Rachel Zegler, Latina, Colombian descent, cast as the fairest of them all. Now, if you've got memory, you know the OG Snow White was literally described as having skin as white as snow. That's not just her name. It's the whole point in the Brothers Grimm lore. But Disney wasn't trying to play by the old rules. They said, nah, we're updating it. And suddenly, Snow White became the symbol of diversity and inclusion. And instantly, the internet had smoke. Social media exploded. One user on X dropped, "Cultural appropriation. As a Latino male, I fully reject a Latina playing Snow White. Why are we changing characters in the name of DEI? Boycott this abomination." Another added, "Disney's star spent the whole year before release dragging the original movie. Who greenlit this PR disaster?" But Rachel didn't stay quiet. She clapped back in interviews, saying the new Snow White survived a snowstorm as a baby. That's why she's called Snow White now, not her skin tone. Cute story, but fans weren't buying it.
I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have. I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
R&B legend Brandy, who knows what it's like being the first Black Cinderella in '97, stepped in, telling Variety, "You're not doing this for critics. You're doing this for every little Colombian girl who hasn't seen herself in a Disney princess." Respect to Brandy. But even her OG energy couldn't shield Rachel from the fallout. Enter Gal Gadot. Miss Wonder Woman herself cast as the evil queen. Now on screen, you'd expect sparks. But off screen, these queens were worlds apart. Gadot, an Israeli actress, and Zegler didn't just have different acting vibes. Their politics were on opposite sides of the world, literally. With the Israel-Gaza conflict heating up, fans started noticing their public silence, or lack thereof. Ziegler made posts indirectly throwing shade at pro-Israel stances. Meanwhile, Gadot stayed locked in her own PR mode, giving absolutely nothing. In one interview, Gal subtly threw Disney under the bus, saying, "When you're working on a film, teamwork is everything. And sometimes, well, not everyone's aligned." Fans caught that immediately. One TikTok user said, "She really said, I ain't dying on this hill." Gal Gadot looked at Rachel and said, "Good luck, sis." The numbers say it all. Snow White's box office debut was an absolute train wreck. The movie grossed a measly $43 million domestically in its opening weekend, far below expectations for a high-budget Disney flick. Globally, it only scraped together $87 million. Critics savaged it, and audiences straight up rejected it. On IMDb, it holds a dismal 1.6 out of 10, one of the lowest ratings ever for a Disney movie. Fans blamed the movie's controversial reimagining and the constant political overtones that felt more like a lecture than a fairy tale. Disney was expecting a magic moment, but what they got was a flop of epic proportions. And the aftermath? Movie theatres were left scrambling, with some even pulling the film to avoid more financial loss. The global backlash didn't stop at box office flops. Snow White got outright banned in Lebanon. The reason? Gal Gadot, playing the evil queen, became the face of controversy due to her ties to the Israeli military and outspoken support for Israel. This led to Lebanon's government slapping a nationwide ban on the film, sending a strong message that Disney couldn't ignore. But that wasn't the only disaster. The film's merchandise? A total wreck. Dolls, action figures, and even t-shirts featuring the reimagined Snow White were pulled from shelves, with angry parents and collectors pushing back. Critics mocked the designs, calling them out for poor quality, and Disney's attempt to cash in on a global brand backfired hard. The merch didn't sell, the movie flopped, and overseas markets made it clear Snow White wasn't wanted anywhere. Disney, thinking they still had magic, pushed out Snow White dolls, mugs, t-shirts, the usual cash grab. But months after release, stores were looking like abandoned warehouses. Walmart shelves were overflowing with unsold dolls. One employee joked on X, "Snow White merch is unionizing. They've been here longer than I have." You know it's bad when your toys are haunting the clearance aisle like cursed artifacts. Target had a whole section with handwritten signs. Take one free. Still nobody touched it. Disney tried the limited edition trick. Only 500 dolls made. But even eBay sellers were begging for buyers. No bites, no buzz. As Snow White spiraled into failure, Rachel Ziegler became Hollywood's lightning rod for controversy. Old tweets resurfaced where she slammed Donald Trump and his supporters, calling them dangerous, sparking outrage in conservative circles. Right-wing media ran wild, branding her as anti-American, and social media exploded with calls for boycotts, especially on platforms like Truth Social. Meanwhile, the reviews poured in, and they weren't kind. "Zegler can sing, but this movie is dead on arrival," one user posted. Another fan fired back, "This ain't Snow White, it's Snow Wrong." And it wasn't just the fans. Critics chimed in, with one calling Gadot's evil queen, more like mildly irritated stepmom. The Rotten Tomatoes audience score? A pitiful 32%, with some saying, even Morbius had a better reception, driving home the film's collapse. So what did Disney do? They hit the panic button. Theaters reported that Disney execs quietly told them, "It's okay to stop screening Snow White. We understand." Merch pages started disappearing from the official website. Interviews got pulled from YouTube. And fans noticed that Disney stopped tweeting about the movie entirely. Like it never happened. It was like a Men in Black memory wipe. Except we remember. One viral TikTok stitched clips of Rachel's red carpet quotes with the sound, "Congratulations, you played yourself." Fans in the comments went wild. This is the Disney version of getting ghosted. Now here's the plot twist nobody expected. This drama even spilled into the NBA Wives scene. Savannah James, LeBron's queen, threw subtle shade on Instagram stories, posting, "Be humble when the crown ain't yours." Rumors started flying that she unfollowed Disney's official account. Coincidence? Maybe. But the timing? Too spicy. Draymond Green's wife, Hazel Renee, posted, "Representation matters. But don't disrespect the legacy while doing it." Even celebs couldn't ignore the chaos. Industry insiders spilled more tea. Apparently, tensions between Zegler and the director Mark Webb were real. An anonymous crew member told Entertainment Weekly, "By the second week of shooting, Rachel started rewriting lines. Webb wasn't happy. Another insider hinted that Gal Gadot showed up late to post-production voiceover sessions, saying, "I've done my part. Let's move on." Disney execs were reportedly furious at the lack of unity, but the train had already left the station. So here we are, April 2025. A movie that cost hundreds of millions, pulled from shelves, banned from countries, and roasted by everyone from TikTok to NBA royalty. Rachel Ziegler went from breakout star to cautionary tale. Gal Gadot distanced herself so hard she's practically on Mars. And Disney? They're praying the next Frozen sequel distracts everyone from this nuclear-level flop. So now it's your turn to weigh in. Was Disney right to reinvent Snow White for a new generation? Or did they fumble the crown trying to be woke? Drop your thoughts in the comments. No filter, we want to hear from all sides. And if you live for the drama, the controversy, and the truth behind the fairy dust, hit that subscribe button to stay locked in with our channel, where the gossip never sleeps. This has been the realest rundown on Disney's Snow White disaster. Catch you in the next scandal.